Hey Facebook, how are you today? This wonderful Monday of our Money School with LaShawn Holland. I have with me here my husband of 25 years, who you should know by now. You gonna say hi?
What's up, Facebook? Happy Monday.
My firstborn,
What's up, Facebook? How are we?
Adam. And so thank you guys for tuning in. If you could share or possibly host a watch party, we would greatly appreciate you helping us get the word out to your families, friends, associates. Hey, who should say hey?
I can't see. Thought you were going to pull it up on your...
I can. It's not coming up.
Somebody said hey. Whoever said hey, what's up? Hello? Hello?
Hello? Hey. I have two nieces that whenever they come over, if my front door is unlocked, they come in and they just say, hey.
Click on it. Turn your volume down. Yeah.
The volume is
Hey,
down.
Pam.
Whoever said hey, what's up?
Okay, sorry about that.
Hello.
Hello. Hey. Sorry about this. Anyway, I wanted to talk today about an article that I read. Actually, I have a couple of things that I want to talk about. But the title of this really is Busting the 3 Myths of the American Dream. And today, hey Camille, how are you? Hi Nakia, how are you? She said, hey family. I can see you now.
What's up, Nakia?
I read an article today that was in Money online. And I thought it was really interesting about some of the things that the article said. And I'm not going to read the whole article, but I am going to bring out 3 very, very important points that I felt like was important, and I actually shared them with my husband. Did I put it in our family group chat?
Put it in the family group chat.
I put it in the family group chat. Yep. You're probably the only one that read it. My no, I meant I was sorry.
Wow.
No, I didn't mean it like that.
I did read it.
I didn't mean it like that. I meant of my children, because my youngest son has been so infatuated with my new book that just released called Born to Multiply.
Yep.
That's all he's reading. That's all he's talking about. And then he wants to come and give us the commentary like we don't know what's in the book, right? He wants to teach me today on epigenetics like I've never heard of it before. Actually, when I was reading, I was just thinking, who do you think wrote the book, dude? Thank you. Appreciate it. And so one of the things that I wanted to point out in this article is actually an article where columnist Susie Moore was interviewing James Altucher is his name. And she was talking about his article that he had actually wrote. Actually, it's in one of his books of why he thinks you should work for yourself. And in the article, he was talking about several different myths, but the one I think that stood out to us the most was the myth of the 401ks. And I actually told my husband, I was like, I thought we just talked about that last week, but we didn't. We talked about it inside of a private group that we had for the people that attended Wealthy Revolution Live. We did a free 6-month VIP all access pass, and that's where we talked about it. But the number one myth that they talked about was the 401k.
Somebody said they've been waiting all weekend for Money Live.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, whoever that was. We love you.
Yeah, it went away, but thank you so much. I appreciate that. But the first one was about the 401k. And, you know, in this particular article, he talked about, it says, anyway, he talks about the 401k. He says, little did I realize that the amount of fees and wrong decisions that managers consistently make with your money. And most people don't understand that. Actually, we know someone personally who worked for a large university and had worked there 20 years. And the managers made a bad investment with their pension fund, retirement money. And they had over, $80,000, $90,000 in it. And because they made a bad decision, there was a class action suit. Long story short, they only gave like $8,000 out of that. Now that you put away $90,000, you walk away with $8,000. There's something that's wrong with that math. But most people don't even know what decisions their money managers are making when they work a job in their 401k because they don't ask questions. And that was really big. And it says, nor did I realize that even when company matches your money, I would have been better off investing it myself. And people don't realize that you don't make money. I mentioned, I think on the call last week that we did, I actually even forgot that money markets were out here. Like, I'm thinking, why would anybody want to put their money in a money market or a CD
Yep.
Or 401k. That's
Or
how I
401k.
honestly feel. Like, don't shoot the messenger, but we did a whole,
Yeah, we did a whole talk about
hour long talk on the 401k. But what do you have to add to that?
So we just wanted to, as you can see, the title is Busting the 3 Myths of the American Dream. I see REAM is cut off. It's just showing the D, but that's of the American Dream. And so what we really wanted to do was sort of just bring out those 3 points.
That could be dangerous.
I know, that's why I wanted to make it
Sorry,
clear.
Facebook, we're not trying to
Busting the
offend
3
anybody.
Myths of the American Dream. DREAM. The ream just got cut off.
That
so.
D can mean a lot of things.
Why? We all live.
Why you pull me in on this one?
5 minutes before the live, like I'm walking into a minefield.
You know how your parents are always.
So anyway, what we really wanted to do was talk about those 3 myths and just give you some more information, right? Because I think for so long it has been taught, get a 401k, own a home, go get a good job. That's the way you sort of settle into and strive towards that American dream.
Yeah.
And so what we really wanted to do is just kind of bust those myths and help open people's eyes to see that there's more out there to fulfilling the American dream than what was prescribed 20, 30 years ago.
I honestly don't even like the term American dream, because American dream means you have no input in this.
Right.
My dream is not your dream. Your dream is not the next person's dream.
Yep.
Like, our dreams are all different. And so
It should be your own dream.
I honestly feel like it's an insult. Like, I'm not smart enough to follow my own dreams, that I allow you to create the dream for me. And the one that you want to create for me is not the one that I want, because the one that America wants to create for us
Yep.
is not the same dream
No,
that they're creating for themselves.
for other races.
So
I also just think that they call. The American dream. There's a lot of times it's denoted as what do they call America? The land of the free and the land of opportunity.
Yep.
But a lot of people, say, okay, this is the land of opportunity, but it's also the land where you can create your own opportunity.
Yeah.
And I feel like people just say, oh, it's the land of opportunity. I go here and I live here, and suddenly, I'm going to be able to follow the same track and I'm going to be wealthy or I'm going to be rich.
Yeah.
When they didn't specify what kind of opportunity it is. Like, a lot of people here that take advantage of that so-called American dream are taking advantage of the fact that we are able to create our own opportunity. We don't live in a communist state. We don't live where, it's restricted with how much you can make. We live in a land where we have all these structures available to allow you to foster whatever type of goals, it is that you are, that you have, and then, go after them. So I feel like it's not just the land of opportunity, but the land of you creating your own opportunity.
yeah, then don't call it the American dream.
Well, I'm saying, they say America is the land of opportunity. So
Right.
that's
So
why you
we
have all these
just
foreigners that move here and can, make
That's
all
right.
this money
Build
because they come from
businesses
an area that has no opportunity.
That's
Right.
very restrictive.
Okay.
Yep. So to just bust that myth on the 401k, one of the biggest expenses that we'll ever have in life is taxes.
Yep.
Right? And when you think about the 401k, if you've ever heard me talk about 401k, you've probably heard me say this, but I'm going to drive it home because I think it's something that we need to remember. One of the biggest expenses we'll ever have is taxes. And the problem with 401k is the government is loaning you money at an established rate today that could change tomorrow. Mm-hmm. And in any other situation, ask yourself, would you agree to those terms?
Right.
Right? Would you leave yourself open to have someone change the interest rate at which you would get your money back? When will we ever take that deal? But we've been forced by the government to say the pension went away because the pension was too expensive, so let's prop the 401k up.
Yeah.
And the pension was a guaranteed payment. The 401k is not a guaranteed payment. When your money runs out, that's it, baby. That is it. At the point you deplete that account, there are no more checks coming to help you survive. So using the 401k as a strategy to help you build towards wealth, those days are gone.
Or as your primary strategy.
Right.
Those days are gone. And we can do, if you guys want to hear a more in-depth live on 401ks, we can do that for you too. Just let us know here.
Yep.
The second myth was owning a home. And I want to preface that by,
Let's make that clear.
when we're talking about owning a home, we're not talking about not owning any real estate. Real estate is a wonderful asset class. I personally think everybody should own real estate, but I'm talking about owner occupied real estate.
That's right.
So part of the American dream will have you to believe that you owning your own home is a wealth building strategy, and it is not. You owning your own home is actually a liability. Yep, Erica, once the money's gone, it's gone. And so you owning your own home, you know, when you look at it, even if you paid it off, try not paying your taxes on it and see who owns it.
That's right. You can own your home, be delinquent on your taxes, and lose your home that you've paid off to a tax lien.
To a tax lien.
So, and then the days of using your home as an ATM, really, those days are gone. And there's still people making that
we
mistake.
shouldn't have been doing that anyway.
Right.
You should not.
But again, we've been set up, right? We've been told in our culture that you can go and borrow against that equity.
I think one of the
at an
dumbest
interest
things
rate.
that you can do
Yep.
is take money out of your home to go buy a brand new car. You're pulling equity out that you can use to put into a business or put into
build.
something
Yep.
that will put money back in your pocket. But
That's
you
right.
go out and you buy a depreciating item.
That's
you
right.
go out, you take a vacation.
That money stopped working for you, right?
That
Think
money
about the
stopped-
term
it's-
velocity of money.
Yes, it
Yep.
stops working for you. And so, you know, you will have some financial experts that will tell you buying your own home is helping you build wealth. I just happen to disagree with that.
Well, we saw it in 2008, right? When the mortgage bubble burst, people lost equity. People were upside down. And the way you get upside down is you owe more on your house than it's worth.
Yep.
So what happens? You end up upside down because you've used your house as an ATM. And just as you said, to borrow against your equity, to buy a depreciating item is one of the worst decisions you could ever make. At a minimum, I would say, put it into something that could generate money, but at a minimum, worst case, at least put it back into the house.
I call it, yes, at least put it back into
Yep.
the house. I call it Cushite economics.
It's Cushite is the clean word.
Cushite is the clean word. But listen, home ownership works, but as an investment, it has all the worst qualities. You should never invest. You would never invest in a company or stock where you use 400% leverage, where it can go down as much as 50% while you hold
That's
it.
right. 2008, again.
And it's
Yep.
totally illiquid.
Yep.
Meaning you can't sell it during the times that you need it most to be able to sell it quickly.
That's
and
right.
so it's not exactly liquid. You wouldn't buy a stock if somebody says, hey, I want you to buy this stock in whatever company, right? And listen, you're going to lose 50%. I'm going to tell you that up front. You're going to lose 50%. You know,
You can never make that
it's
deal.
not liquid. You can't get out of it
Yeah.
easily. And you're going to have to use 400% of your leverage. You wouldn't do that, but we do that when we buy a house and we think that it's an asset and that's all we want to do.
Yep.
Myth number 3 is that jobs are safe. And so here I want to read this, but I'm going to go into another story with an experience that I actually had today with someone.
This stat is mind blowing.
It says, look, many people go to college thinking that even if they can't do their highest passions in life, they can at least have a plan B, but that includes a safe job. Unfortunately, incomes have been going straight down while inflation has been going up.
Yep.
The average salary for people ages 18 to 35 has gone from $36,000 a year in 1992 to $33,000 right now in 2019.
That's 27 years, y'all.
27 years and salaries have been stagnant for
Yep.
27 years.
Prices have been constantly rising.
And
There you
prices
go.
have been
Say that.
constantly rising. So
Yep.
inflation, your money is able to buy less.
Yes.
And you don't even know it. We're not paying
You're
attention.
making less.
Yes. And so it says in this article, and it's getting lower because of the advancements in technology. It says, meanwhile, the people I know who are doing the best financially have multiple streams of income, do not have a single job, and often the work that they do is 100% related to their experience and not
Did you
their
say
education.
multiple streams of income?
Multiple streams of income.
Multiple streams of income.
And so, you know, and that brings me to this point. Today I had to have a board of directors meeting for a nonprofit that I'm on. And it was a gentleman in there while we were waiting. And so I went in just to ask how he was doing. I was trying to be cordial and pleasant until the rest of the board members arrived. And he was like, well, I'm looking for a job. And he's been unemployed for over a year. And so I said, well, how long are you going to stay out of the market looking for a job? Because I happen to know that he is married with kids. You know, and he started telling me way up here with his head way up here in the air. You know, he has an Ivy League school education, and you know his expertise was what did I tell you he said?
You never told me if you did.
They were like so unique. I can't remember what he was saying. He gave me a bunch of excuses of why, because I was like, well, why are you looking? Why don't you just start a business and offer the same thing to the corporations that you used to work for?
Multiple streams of income.
And so he gave me all the reasons in the world why. And you know my take on it. I can talk to you for 5 minutes, and once I locate where your financial thermostat is, I'm out. And so I just didn't have enough time to go into it with him. But really, when I thought about it, and I was looking at him like, okay, your Ivy League school education versus my specific education, what I'm doing. And I think about what I'm making versus what he's not bringing in with his Ivy League school education, you know, and he doesn't realize that his mindset is really what's holding him back, not the job market. And so education is very important, but it's a process. And so the problem with traditional education, like one of the myths of the American dream, is that traditional education is a process of becoming an employee. And so we don't teach outside of that model anymore. And so that's why most people say go to school and get a good job, not realizing that we have shifted. And if you don't understand the shifts, if you can't see the shifts, you tend to stay stuck. And so his degree at an Ivy League school, as he pointed out to me like 3 or 4 times, is really obsolete. But
it's because this education system teaches you how to exist and thrive within an already established structure. So people that are very good in school are often good at following directions, memorizing things, doing the same tasks over and over. But when it comes to thinking uniquely and creating their own opportunity or going outside of that structure and creating their own structure, they don't know what to do. So instead, they rather just sit and, you know, hunt around for another structure to be inside of or to work within instead of creating their own structure for themselves.
But I absolutely think that is crazy.
Yeah, but it's also because of the way you think.
So yeah, college is not the only way, right? So I think DeAndre said that we don't want to tell people to avoid college.
Right, because we sent all 3 of our kids to college, but we probably sent them to college for a different reason than what most people send their kids to college for.
And you made a correct statement. It is not the only way.
It's not the only way. And so if you continue, I think though, for me though, the issue or the bigger issue is if you continue to listen to obsolete experts give obsolete advice that has not worked in the past several years because our market has shifted, then you're going to continue in those obsolete ideas and they're going to continue not to work for you.
So Adam, give us some of those stats. Sorry to put you, and I know you remember, so I'm not worried about you not remembering some of the stats that were in the books. The book that you read, what was it? Beyond Jobs?
It was a book called The End of Jobs. I don't remember who the author is, but I have it upstairs.
Yep.
So I guess we can put it in the comments or something afterward. But it was a really good book, and it just gave a bunch of different statistics on, you know, shifting global markets, the introduction of artificial intelligence, and it was saying how less than a quarter of the world's college graduates are going to come from EU or UK countries.
Wow.
So basically, with, you know, the way that internet is now accessible all over the world because we have satellites all over the place. People from, you know, Africa to India to rural parts of China, everyone has an internet connection.
Yep.
If you have an internet connection, you can get a college degree. So you're competing with people that will work for a fifth of what you're out here trying to work for after you already lowered your income, you know, expectations at this point. And they can do the exact same work and probably, you know, you hate to say it, but maybe even more efficiently than you can because you've been out of the job market so long looking for a job.
Give the statistics that you gave when we were on stage a couple weeks ago.
About
the number of jobs.
Do you remember the number of jobs that would be?
Oh, I don't even know what the number of jobs that would be, but yeah, it's just, I'm sorry. I take in a lot of information over the course of the day. But,
but the point we're getting at is that jobs are no longer safe, right? You look at the furlough, we look at what happened with the furlough, people who thought they had secure what we like to call good old government jobs. those jobs were gone in the blink of an eye, and people had to go weeks without a paycheck. So not having an alternative stream of income to help you during those times, as we can see, as is written in this article, and we agree wholeheartedly, is counterintuitive to building your dream. We won't even say the American dream anymore. Whatever your dream is.
And you also have to look at the idea everyone sees, they're launching 5G and all that. That increased processing power just allows whatever, robot they have in the works to come along
to think
and process
faster,
more than you can in your little neural cortex. so while you're sitting up there celebrating 5G, that might be Watson up there lifting his weights, his processing weights, and he's about to take your job. So I feel like it's not more of like us trying to scare people. It's just you realizing that in a world that's constantly evolving, you can't expect to not go extinct remaining the same. You have to evolve with the world, and otherwise you're going to be left behind. You're going to be a relic of the past. So I feel like it's you, and that's why it's more important than ever when you have such disruptions going on with, internet being global, college being so global, people working decentralized companies. Like there can be whole companies with dozens of employees that have never met each other before.
That's right.
Because you have all these apps that can, do little
link
niche,
them all together.
Yeah, do like little niche parts of a company where you can have 30 people that work together that have never met each other and work in different countries. So it's just you between that and AI and everything, you just have so much you're competing with that you have to learn how to be able to create your own opportunity to stand alone.
Right. And so at that point, I wanted to, because having that conversation with him made me think about this chapter in the book. If you don't have it, you should get the book. But it's in chapter 9, talking about pivot and opportunity.
Born to multiply.
But it says your perception of obstacles make a difference. And so he wasn't even thinking that he was the obstacle in that.
Right.
And a lot of times we stay stuck in the same position, or we're looking for new jobs and we're not getting hired, although people are biting. They don't choose to keep us or whatever. We don't tend to look at the man in the mirror.
Right.
We don't know what's wrong, but we
don't think it's us. We think it's everybody else.
We don't think it's us.
Yep.
And so I wrote here, some people see obstacles as a mystery to solve. Some see obstacles as an opportunity to grow. Others see obstacles as threats. Still, others see obstacles as proof that they cannot succeed. Your view of barriers to achieving your goals affect how you react.
Wow.
Your perception affects every little step you take. If you see obstacles from a victim's point of view as a sign that the world is against you, or as an indicator that you have failed, then you are likely to be overwhelmed with negative thoughts and difficult emotions when faced with roadblocks to your vision and dreams. And so I'm not going to go into, we talk about how to pivot out of this if this is your mindset. If you want to know the rest,
buy the book.
Get the book on Amazon. But it's true, our perception, and so he really couldn't see. But I talk to people literally all the time.
Yep.
That don't realize that it's their thinking and how they see things.
Yep.
As what's the real root of the cause that is keeping them stuck in the same place. And so, I just believe that if you want to grow, I don't care whether it's in business or you want to become a master investor or whatever it is, then you need mentors in the B and the I quadrant. I talk about the cash flow quadrants all the time. And so, again, our world, our society teaches us how to remain in the E quadrants, and it doesn't
because of the
teach us
comfort.
But that's why it's so important too to have vision, because what you talked about with the American dream, it's more like they instill the vision for you of what you should desire for your life. You need to go to college, because that's your vision. You get through elementary school, you're focused on the SAT. Like, all right, I need the SAT so I can get into college. Get into college so I can get a good job. Get a good job so I can save money and eventually retire.
Buy a big house.
Live below my means for a little bit, and then eventually everything will be okay. That's the vision that they hammer into us. So it's all about you figuring out that you have the ability to create your own vision, and that vision needs to be big because it has to be bigger than the obstacles that you're going to have to overcome. And that's something that she mentions in the book. So again, if you don't have a vision that's big enough to overcome the obstacles that you're facing nowadays in 2019, all the ones we mentioned with the job market and everything, then you are going to be stifled because you don't understand, you don't have that motivation to get past whatever you're facing.
It really does put you in two places. Like I read in 2018 that 42 million people were living in poverty in the United States of America. And so with 42 million, that means if you weren't living in poverty yourself, you know someone who is living in poverty. And so
probably a few people.
Yeah, and so and when you start looking at those enormous numbers, it's alarming, it's concerning. Because why? These are it ain't just affecting the world, it's affecting people that are sitting in their seats inside of the church. And so the church is only as financially solvent as the people sitting in the seats. If the people that are sitting in the seats in your churches, in your synagogues, that are going through financially, then guess what? That establishment is going to go through financially also. And so due to the lack of financial education in this country, most people will spend their lives as a wage slave of their employers or a tax slave of the government. Because we have not learned how to flip the script.
The system.
And let me tell you, they operate, wealthy people just operate on a totally different
set of plans.
Rules and game plans and so
about the conference.
You can.
So I was at this elite retreat for the options investing education program that I'm in, and they bring us out to the headquarters in Utah, and they have obviously a bunch of different investing specialists, but they also have tax specialists come in, and they had a guy come in talking about asset protection, and he was just saying how everyone got mad at Mitt Romney during the election because his tax returns came out and everybody's like, he hardly pays anything in taxes for what he makes. I'm not being mad at him. I'm trying to figure out how to beat him. I'm trying to figure out how to beat him because those are simply the laws, and you can't get angry. That's like you trying to play basketball and you don't know that you can play with two hands. It's like you get mad at the guy who's playing with two hands just because you don't know how to play with two hands. Well, that's on you because you don't know the rules.
I'll never forget the first time we met when our CPA Cedric, he was the first real CPA that we had. Every CPA is not the CPA for you. But we went out there and he was like, look, I remember him calling me on the phone before we went to Vegas, and he said, LaShawn, he was like, you've made this amount of money, you need to go shopping before you're in, because I only, as an employee, taxes are the first thing that you pay. As an employer, taxes is the last thing that you pay, or as a business owner, taxes is the last thing that you pay. So you only pay on taxes on what's left over. Well, if everything else has been expensed and there's no money at the end of the year, and so he was like, LaShawn, you need to go shopping. He was like, I tell you what. He was like, what do your husband like? And I was like, well, he likes watches. Why? He was like, go buy him a new Movado. And he was like, that's his safety award. He kept the company safe from hostile takeover. And I was like, is that legal? And then he began to show me different IRC, Internal Revenue Codes. It's in a code book. It's about this thick. It's 3 of them. And so where you get safety awards, you get longevity awards. That's where my mink coat came from. It was my longevity award.
This is a whole nother Facebook Live. You
It
don't
really, I didn't even know that. It was funny because, and I don't even think I told you this, I was telling people in my class that this was stuff that we were learning about with the write-offs, and I was like, my mom has been doing this for years, but I always wrote it off as just mom doing mom stuff. Like when we go out to dinner, and she'd be like, all right, let's talk business so I can write this off. And I'm like, all right, she's just doing, her little thing. But then I'm sitting there in this class, and I'm like,
Facebook, he's sleeping on me.
I'm sitting there, I'm like, all right, she's just doing her thing. I'm sitting there in class, I was like, dang, she was really writing all this off. I was like, see, that's how you take advantage of the laws that are in place. But I was just taking it for granted because I didn't even know that you're not allowed to hold a business meeting on a cruise, but you can take a cruise liner to a business meeting.
That's right.
And then you can write it off.
Yes.
I was like, what?
Why do you think our vacations are so fabulous? And then we stay in for a whole day and we have a business meeting.
I had no idea.
Ding, ding, ding.
I had no idea. I was sitting there, I was like, oh, this looks so familiar. I said, my mom's been doing this for years. And these people were sitting there just figuring it out. I was like, yep. That's why I'm the youngest person in here, about 15 years.
More than that, honey. But You know, and so we just wanted to talk about busting up these myths because we are passionate about teaching people a different way. There is a better way. There is a different way. And if I can say anything out of this is don't allow someone else to paint the picture of what they think your dream should be.
That's right.
Because they're not telling you all the pieces to the puzzle. They're not showing their hand in this.
Yep. And take back ownership, folks. I mean,
Take back
just to kind of
ownership.
summarize, because we're 30 minutes in. But just to summarize, take back ownership. You know, we talked about 401k, talked about owning your own home and having that dream job. You know, those things aren't really what they used to be 20,
Right.
30 years ago.
Right.
Take back ownership. Create those multiple streams of income. So that we're not telling you to go quit your job. Don't get me wrong. That's
Listen,
not what we're saying.
We have clients that have created, you know, over $1 million on their side job.
Still working.
Still working a job,
Yep.
but they've created that cash flow. And you may think, well, why are they still on a job? They're on there for other reasons, but it's possible it can be done.
And thinking creatively can help you on your job also, but that's
Listen, people don't realize they can become like entrepreneurs inside of a company.
Yep.
They don't understand that when you add that much value to it.
Exactly.
But
Yep.
anyway, maybe we'll go into that next week. Will we be back next week in time?
I guess if our flight's on time, we headed on vacation, y'all. So we're back Monday, but I gotta see what time.
I know they didn't tell me.
Anyway, bye Facebook. Thank you guys for joining us
Peace.
tonight.
Bye,
We
Facebook.
appreciate it.